Hi, I'm Mark Dresner, and this is DDP TV, a special executive interview series featuring experts and leaders in the drug delivery technology and development space. DDP TV is brought to you by the Drug Delivery Partnerships Conference, the most authoritative voice focused on progress in partnering on drug development and delivery. Joining me today is Dr. Geoffrey Hird. He is a principal scientist in global formulation for U.S. drug delivery technology with Eisai Incorporated. Jeff, thank you and welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Let's jump right in. Tell us briefly about your current role and your responsibilities.
Sure. I'm in the Global Formulation and Drug Delivery Technology Group at Eisai. This is a global group, and I'm part of the organization based in RTP, North Carolina. And our group has primary responsibility for developing parenteral dosage forms, although we've done some work with topicals as well as some oral formulations as well.
Okay. And if you could you speak to who your internal clients are generally, and what are some of the key challenges and considerations that you have when you're engaging with them? What's keeping them up at night, and how are you addressing these issues?
Sure. So a few years ago, Eisai reorganized to have different internal companies, if you will, based upon therapeutic areas. So we have an oncology company, we have a CNS company, we have a monoclonal antibody company. And the project teams that report into these different companies are our customers. We report into those project teams and develop formulations for and with these internal companies. These internal companies also have discovery groups, and one of my jobs is to interact with the discovery groups at our Andover, Massachusetts site and help at the interface of discovery and development, applying formulation technologies and pharmaceutics to help improve the developability of our compounds.
Okay, terrific. So some of the issues that they're facing, can you elaborate on that for us at all?
Sure. Well, that obviously depends also on which of these companies.
Which of them?
So,
yeah.
you know, for
if you want to cast a wide net.
Right. So for some of the wider issues are obviously solubility. So within our group, we might at the early stages bring in compounds and help solubilize them for screening studies, et cetera. And also for areas such as oncology, we've run a number of programs where for targeted delivery, what we might do is work with the pre-candidate selection teams. And since the formulation technology is critical to providing value and increasing the therapeutic index of those compounds, we'll actually work hand in hand with that discovery unit on those projects.
And as I understand it, you're increasingly coming into the process at an earlier development stage than might be traditional for Eisai or other companies of a similar nature. Why is this important, and how has it affected your role? How has it affected your approach to managing what's on your plate?
Right. Well, it's important to get drugs to market to patients, and so the more that we can use pharmaceutics and the expertise that our group has to bring Eisai's products forward in a expedient manner, it's better for the company, it's better for patients, and so this is why it's better. And the way that we've been interacting in an increasing manner is, FaceTime with the discovery scientists and spending time with them, teaching them about what drug delivery technologies can do. And then when we have projects which we can help them out on, delivering. So that it's about the interaction with that group and building that rapport, and then going from there and getting more projects that we can help them out on.
Would you characterize your approach as more reactive or proactive at this stage? And depending on your answer to that, what does that entail?
Right. I guess initially it was more reactive, and as that relationship with the discovery group has evolved, it's become more proactive, where they're actually seeking our advice on certain projects. We get emails, questions about projects, or so we're becoming known as a group as people who can help them with problems, which is exactly what we want to do, so we can help these groups out.
If you had to scorecard yourself, how much progress would you say you're making in terms of inroads, in terms of visibility, in terms of really, becoming embedded and becoming a part of the development process from that early stage?
All right. It's definitely a work in progress. We went through a reorganization
Sure.
Less than a year ago. Gosh, it's hard to give a specific score.
Understand.
It's a work in progress.
Understand.
So.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. How about this? Can you provide an example of, or an anecdote of how a drug delivery technology that you've been involved with has been used to advance, compounds in your pipeline?
Sure. Yeah, we've been involved recently on an exciting project that's high priority for Eisai. It was a compound that has a high variability in its bioavailability. And we were asked to figure out some technologies that could decrease this variation in bioavailability. So we worked with our colleagues in Japan, we worked with outside vendors, and we did some work in-house. And we rapidly came up with 4 or 5 prototype formulations that were put into a animal PK study. And then over the past couple months, past couple quarters, what we've done is we've developed clinical batches, and we're now going into a human PK study, and within another month or 2 we should know which of these technologies should hopefully solve this problem. So it's a good example where we're able to use technologies basically to take a multi-pronged approach, go into an animal study, narrow it down, go into a human study, and then hopefully we'll pick a winner from this study to move forward.
Any surprises along the way in that particular anecdote that stand out?
No surprises.
So
we're taking pretty standard solubilization techniques, and we'll see what the answer is when we get through the human PK study.
Now, one thing that you mentioned was that you obviously have in-house capabilities, which are deliberately kept in-house, and you outsource, you work with partners. Can you give us an idea, generally speaking, of the kinds of things that you would prefer to work externally with and the things that you keep in-house, and then why?
Sure. So an example of something we'd outsource is if we don't have the capital expense. So spray drying is something that we don't have the capital expense for, and it doesn't make sense for the number of projects we have to have that capability in-house and maintain that equipment. Second would be if there's certain technologies that have a lot of IP surrounding them and they're very specialized, and we might not be able to work on those for IP reasons, and those would be ones that we would outsource, and a lot of the companies that are here at this conference would represent that category. And then third would be capacity issues. So if we need excess capacity, we'd outsource in that perspective as well.
Okay. And you're comfortable with the balance that you've struck between in-house and external at this point, I'm gathering?
Yeah, well, the business drives these decisions to a large extent, but yes, I mean, we're getting the job done.
Terrific.
Which is what we're paid to do.
Well, then one last question, since we are at a drug delivery partnerships event, and that would be, give me your thoughts on, for those issues that you raised where you would be dealing with a partner externally, tips, thoughts, anything related to that you can share with us that might be helpful.
Yeah, so for me, when you work within a vendor, that interpersonal relationship you have with the key scientists you're working with, as well as the business development people who you'll be working with on a regular basis, is really the most important piece, because if you get a good, productive, respectful relationship in place, then everybody's just trying to get the job done, and things work out well, and there's no shortcuts. You got to put the time into those relationships, and that's really what helps these projects move forward in a productive way.
One last question. If you had a wish list for your partnering moving forward, what would be the top 1 or 2 things, needs that are perhaps unmet, that you would like to see whether they're Eisai, without casting blame on anybody, where would you like to see a little bit more cohesion?
Is that from a technical standpoint or a business standpoint?
Could be either.
Oh, okay. More cohesion. Let's see here. I mean, the part of getting a partnership going, in my mind, that takes the longest a lot is the legal wrangling to get the contracts in place.
Sure.
And there's a lot of back and forth, and it takes a lot of time. And for a lot of the projects that I'm on, we need to move quickly. And so I guess a willingness from both sides to come to that agreement in the most expedient way possible, I think is, I guess that would be part of my wish list.
I'll bet that's everybody's list.
Yeah.
You know,
so.
Yeah, terrific. Geoffrey, thank you very much for your time today.
So much.
On that note, we're going to conclude this episode of DDP TV. Please tune in again for our next episode. And for those of you who would like to know a little bit more about the Drug Delivery Partnerships Conference, please visit us at iirusa.com/DDP. Until next time, I'm Mark Dresner. Thanks for joining us.